Sisi tunataka rais leo angalie wa Samburu na aone sisi tuko na shida. Watoto wa mama wamekuwa wajane. Vijana wetu wameisha. Sisi wapi nataka rais leo usikie na tutaandamana kutoka mpaka Nairobi kuja uone sisi tumeisha kama jamii ya Samburu.
Kila kitu imekuwa opposite. Pele ulituambia utatoa Pokot katika Samburu County. Hakuna kenye tumeona. Na this is hii ni mwaka imeisha. Wakati umekuwa president, hakuna usaidizi yoyote sisi tumepata.
Nasikia watu ya Kenya wanaenda kufuatia amani katika dunia ama katika nchi nyingine. Na still kwao hapa Samburu, Baringo, Turkana hakuna usalama.
Vijana wanauliwa kila siku kwa macho na ng'ombe inapitishwa katika kambi ya jeshi. Hatujaona msaada, wakiona vita wanateremka wanaenda town. Sasa tunachindwa jeshi wako na kazi gani katika hii kaunti ya Samburu?
Tafadhali utupe security, lakini security ambaye utatupa, hatutaki wale ambao umetupa. Kwa sababu hao ndio waliotumaliza. Tunataka watoto wetu, tafadhali mahali ulipo, mahali unakaa. Tafadhali ninakuomba, mtoto wangu ni wako. Wale wanafanya mtihani kwa Down City ni kama wetu.
Afisa wa polisi walifika jana eneo hii, wakaanza kutubomolea manyumba. Tuko na watainiwa darasa la 8, sijui mtihani watafanyia wapi. Vitabu vimechomwa, nguo, tunalala nje wote na watoto.
Niko na watoto analala nje, niko na ng'ombe inalala nje, na kila kitu iko nje.
Samani tulikuwa huko chini, tukafukuzwa huko, tukaletwa pande hii. Sasa wanatuambia tena muhama hapa. Na hapa tuko na manamba ya mashamba, tumekaa hapa, tumelelewa hapa, hatujui pahali tunaenda.
Tafadhali viongozi tuliowachagua, jameni mko wapi? Mnatufukuza tuende wapi viongozi? Hakuna mahali tunaenda jameni.
Tunauliza Ruto, wewe ni Mkristo? Wewe unajiita Mkristo? Na tunakuheshimu. Tafadhali wananchi wanaumia. Tafadhali.
Najua kupigwa vita nitapigwa kwa sababu ukigusa swala la ardhi, waangalieni wengi wao. Leo pigeni picha muangalie wale walikuwa upande ule mwingine, alafu muangalie masuala ya ardhi mtapata jibu. Na kuanzia leo wachawi washindwe. Wachawi ambao wanamsumbua chani washindwe.
Mheshimiwa Rais, tunakupenda. Uwe na roho ya huruma. Teremusha bei ya vitu.
We have visa regulations left, right and center. 27 countries in Europe today with 430 million people removed visas. We still have visas. Let me persuade us that it is time we in this continent realize that having visa restrictions amongst ourselves is working against us. As Kenya, by the end of this year, no African will be required to have a visa to come to Kenya.
Kuna watu wengine wananipigia makelele, mbona umeenda safari hii, mbona umeenda safari hii. Hiyo ndio kazi yangu ya rais. Mimi ndio chief agent ya Kenya. Mimi ndio ambassador ya Kenya ya kupanga vile Kenya itasonga mbele. Germany, rais wao walikuwa hapa. Ametuambia ako na nafasi ya vijana 1250. Watu wa Canada mmeketi chini na rais wao, wako na nafasi karibu the same. Marekani almost the same. So tunataka tupanue ajira ingine karibu 1,000,000 kwa vijana. Nimetembea sehemu nyingi. China kwa mfano wamesema sasa watatufungulia soko ya chai na soko ya macadamia na soko ya avocado. Nilikuwa kule juzi. Mimi nataka wakulima wajipange. Pia masoko ya Korea, soko ya nchi 27 za Ulaya.
And I have been with the president. Ile safari yote kutoka Korea, China, Europe, rais wetu amekuwa akienda kufungua masoko ya agriculture. It's our responsibility now hapa nyumbani to diversify ile maneno tunapanda ili tuweze tukabeba hizi mimea kutoka hapa ifike soko.
Ile kitu hatutaki ni exploitation ya farmers. Hatutaki wakulima wauze mazao yao kwa hasara. So we'll provide the floor price ya 4,000, lakini you're free to sell to the open market, whatever the price you get. Hii mwaka hii tunaingia, ndio will be the last year tutaagiza mahindi kutoka nje, ile kidogo ambaye itakuwa na gap. But from 2025 hakuna gunia moja, tutazalisha hiyo magunia yote hapa Kenya.
All right, that is the president speaking, and a lot of other issues as well regarding his travel, and just the soapbox that just gives you a snippet of how the week has been, all the week that has been. What are some of the salient issues? You can see the Business Daily today that Gachagua's allocation beats Ruto's in 187 billion shillings mini budget. Set House budget up 2.4 billion shillings to 9.7 billion shillings. Budget for First Lady and DP spouse offices also increased. And just we have interesting illustrations here. What key offices got in billion shillings? Deputy President's office has been allocated 759 million shillings more than initial budget. A rise there, looking at the supplementary budget, initial 4.3, 4.0 there, the supplementary, that is the President. And the Deputy, that is the increase there from 3.5% to 4.3% on the supplementary. And we can see also the PCS office, that is a prime CS initial, it just remained the same. The increase is on account of enhancement of operations and maintenance and provision for refurbishment of the boardroom. And looking at the First Lady, we have 444.90, that was the initial. Supplementary now is 593.91. That is posed to the Deputy President's office has seen its budget allocation raised by 424.8 million shillings from 292.86 initially. And looking at the supplementary budget there, that is the highest for the Deputy President's spouse. In light of what we're going through and the travels that people have been raising questions, as you can see depicted also by other cartoonists here as well. Let me just try and show you the flying president. He was justifying that his travel, the globe-trotting, of course, is for the benefit of the country, that we are bound to exceedingly benefit from his trips, as well as he has given also some of a list of the key goodies that has come from those visits as well. But I wanted just to raise these questions regarding this, especially throw it to you, Honorable Makali, because you sit in the budgetary committee. This is what is on the Business Daily this morning. Does the supplementary budget also come through your committee? Yeah. So you are privy to this?
Okay, thank you, Biba. What has happened is this supplementary budget was tabled on Thursday last week. Procedurally, it will now go to departmental committees for detailed discussion at committee level. And then from there, the chairs of the departmental committees will be presenting the same to the budget committee for finalization. But there are a number of fundamental questions we need to ask ourselves related to this supplementary budget. We finalized the main budget 30th June. It's about now 3 months since we finalized the budget. So in a situation where you do a budget, and then in 3 months you are changing a budget by more than 5% of the total budget, is a clear demonstration that your planning and budgeting process has challenges. Because it means the predictions, the assumptions, you're not getting them right. So it means somebody somewhere is not doing their work correctly. The second issue is, when we finalized the budget, we had approved as Parliament a budget deficit of 4.4%. In a situation where we push the budget again by 5%, then you must be telling us, how does that impact on the total overall budget deficit of 4.4%? And if that is changing, where are you then going to get the money from? And if it's not changing, how are you going to domestically raise that money, because you have only two options. Either you meet that small difference from external borrowing or domestic borrowing, or if not so, then you generate it through taxes. And the irony of it, the Bali is a situation where this Kenya Kwanza government, when they came up to power, one of the key promises to Kenyans was that they're not going to borrow as much as Jubilee had borrowed. But I can tell you for sure, without any fear of contradiction, they are borrowing more than Jubilee. If you compare this 1 year they've been in office and the 10 years of Jubilee borrowing, the rate at which they are borrowing will be over and above Jubilee borrowing if they don't change. And the problem is now the figures you have shown there on the bar. In a situation where you have office of the spouses of the top guys getting an additional 500 million to spend in a supplementary budget, and Kenyans out there, everybody's crying, we are dying, cost of living is beyond our reach, and then you want to give more money, and this money more likely will also be raised through additional taxation. So to me, I think this government is not serious at all. Issues of financial management, issues of managing an economy so that you don't harm the lower level mwananchi, and all said and done. I wish, in the past we have tried to stop some of these things at Parliament. I can see a situation where Parliament will still come and rubber stamp this because they claim to have the numbers. How I wish my colleagues would stand against this and we say we must get this expenditure side of this budget reduced. They say they reduced the budget by 10%. There was such a 10% cutting across board, both the three arms of government. But now in a situation where you cut 3%, 10% across board, and then internally you increase the current expenditure of some of these offices, the Balu, you saw the last year's control budget report. It's not a secret. The office of the president spent 20.1 billion. And they are not development projects there. Mostly that was recurrent. More so on travel. 20.1 billion on a serious note. And we say we are a serious government. At times you see that just laugh. As who are economists, we are seriously unhappy with the way things have been done. But since we are not the president, we just give our advice.
All right.
And let the wheel roll downwards.
Right.
We don't know where it will take us.
But we need to interrogate also what does the office of the spouse to the deputy president, do. We have had, of course, spouses before the deputy president, but we never had such a allocation of money, Richard Onyonka, being given to that particular docket. So if 500 million shillings to do what? That is where we need to begin, where we should actually be salting away this money on that particular account.
On several occasions, Dibal, we have been saying this. If you tell me that we do not have the resources, and that is why you're increasing taxes, because you're trying to create revenue. The deputy president's spouse has got an increment on this supplementary budget of 500 million. So she's going to be handling 700 million shillings a year. If you take that money and divide it amongst the months, look at the other amount which has been on that, the amount of money that has been given to Deputy President Gachagua. All right, there's an increment on that amount. They have actually left the amount of money that is going to the office of the president by a very minimum. They have actually reduced what is going to the president's office. The truth is, I want to also support what my leader, Honorable Makali, is saying. We must begin to live within our means. I agree, the president is arguing, yes, that there is a reason why he's traveling that much. I have actually no problem with the president traveling. My point is, how many people is he traveling with? And the second issue that I want to raise very critically is that within the next 6 months, Kenyans are going to start asking him, give us a matricized result and effect. I mean, you have traveled to Germany. You are talking about the Germans can employ 200,000 Kenyans. Yes, we agree with you. This is after 2 years. Can you tell us how many Kenyans have gone to Germany? I mean, there is really nothing wrong with the president traveling as many times as he may want. In fact, he can even change aeroplanes wherever. Yeah. He can even go with his private jet, go to. That is not a problem. What many people are saying is, number one, the president, just like he gave a recommendation himself, that the people who need to travel out of the country, if you go as a CEC, I mean as a CS, how many people are you going to carry with you? Are they going to be 3 or 4? But many of the people, when you talk to them, you'll find that a delegation is leaving, it has got 14 people, it has got 30. We need to live within our means. Our country is not living within our means. The amount of money that is being spent on this traveling and the activities that are going on in terms of what the spouses are doing and what the husbands are doing, I don't know whether they put any money for the chief secretary, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi's wife, also to be given the money. And you see what is happening. All this is cascading down to the ground. Governors are also beginning to say, why is the county assembly, like we have a matter from Kakamega County, we are interrogating at the committee. The governor of Kakamega County is saying, and there's nothing wrong with that, because he's saying what is coming from the top. That if the executive at the top is being allocated money for the spouses of these leaders at the top, then even them going down to the county government need to have their spouses being given. Why are we being wasteful when we know very clearly this country is in trouble, Diban? We are borrowing to basically maintain ourselves above the water. Why are we spending this kind of money as if Kenya is an oil selling country which has got some fund somewhere where the money is being kept, and we have got 10 trillion shillings which we want to spend now because you need to interject funding or you need to have what? These are things. I mean, why? It's not even the traveling. Why are we having, the president can have his motorcade, I don't have a problem with that. But why as he sees his ministers driving around with chase cars, with 4 or 5 vehicles running after? Why are we like this? You know, I don't know whether I have an answer. Yeah.
Right, but what is the legal framework around this dockets of especially the deputy president's spouse as well? Is it predicated under any law that some funds should be allocated to them? Just make me understand, which is a large.
Well, I'll start before I get to that, but let me start this way. So our country, Kenya, we get into devolution and we appreciate and embrace and say we are going to move. We're going to move from the top. At that time, that's what we assumed, that in this new constitution, so much will be done in the counties, and at the top, we will leave a minimum of dealing with policy and all that. But it's like during the former president's time, this thing just turned around again, and it went back to the top. And the top has now again taken and is amassing lots of resources from the budget, yes, but more importantly, it's because also the counties have also failed us. Because we've sent them money, but what has happened? The same. Mismanagement. People just collecting revenue and putting in their pockets. And we have refused as a country to even
accept it.
Think how we can bring back revenue to be within one. But you collect revenue of County X and make sure their revenue is taken to their CRF account. And therefore, it is easier to know today Nairobi County is able to collect 80 billion, and therefore coming up, we will have to reduce so that you get also money to pay all these debts we are talking about. Because we talk of debts, we talk of yes, but we forget we created another 47 that is also usurping. Because if you ask them today, there's no money at the national government. Each of them will tell you in 2 weeks we are closing. We can't survive. it is wrong in 10 years, going 15 years. And I think now, as we move down, the question is, do we have the frameworks of giving resources? Because you see, the office of the First Lady has a framework. It was done during the Jubilee government's time. So they have a framework on what is supposed to be done, and they pick a program. And so the Auditor General is able to, on the other office, I don't know whether the framework is the same, so that you are able to audit, because all of this is taxpayers' money. Now, the question will be, is this the right time for us to see these numbers? No, because Kenyans are asking themselves, very soon, I saw the Kenya Roads fund is about to bring in. They've already done a fund, so you're taxed, and then also after finishing, you're taxed in fuel, and you're also taxed in using the road.
So the road maintenance, so they add 5 more shillings.
Yes, yet you in the beginning, why we had this fund was to maintain the road.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. That's why we were taxing fuel, so that we maintain the road. So then you double tax them there. And for me, this is what I want to say today, in a very, very humble way. One of the things I don't understand is this thing in the economic advisors of this country. That one we've lost Dibal. How they advise to get to these solutions that taxing and taxing and taxing will make sure you collect revenue, I am doubting. You have companies now closing and leaving Kenya. So who is remaining? Only this Kenyan who is a civil servant and state officers who you're going to collect revenue from? It's a question you have to think. And the worst is, all the economic advisors of the president have never believed we came out of COVID. It's like they were living in their own world when we were being finished by COVID and companies closing down for 2 years. You have refused to give them a breathing space for them to rebuild so that you get this revenue you're looking for. You have just come, and for me, if there's anything we should be talking about as parliament, is to remove these economic advisors and the president to look for a key team, that's number one, that understands government. Because also his economic advisors have never worked in government, and the ones he put who worked in government had also some history that by the time they were leaving, they had left the country in a very interesting way. So we have to, and it is something I am pleading, that let us not, and I want to also tell them, since you are prayerful, then pray for grace. It's like they don't have even grace to run the offices. They don't have that, what I normally say, when God gives you an institution to run, he has to give you with wisdom, he has to give you that grace. Sorry to tell them today, this morning, Dibal, they don't have grace. What they have is, you wake up in the morning and tell us, you overvalued your shilling. How do you tell us that in front of East Africa, where this shilling has always been there? I mean, it is the worst they ever did to this country, is to wake up on TV and tell us we overvalued our shilling. You killed us through Tanzania, you killed us through Uganda, you killed us through Rwanda, and you're thinking you're talking so well to us. We are tired of negativity in this economic sector. And that is why I started by saying we need to have the whole leadership of Kenya together thinking about our shilling, thinking about how we are going to revive Kenyans from where we are taking them. We are going like this. Then you want next year school fees to be paid. Trust me, how many kids will be at home? So many will be at home. But you find I need a government that is having also some, there must be that empathy that comes in for your people. I need a government that feels we are human. I need a government that will tell me,
thank you.
We are here,
right, thank you.
And we understand your challenges, and we are walking a journey. Right. Not walking a journey and bringing now some figures where people will start wondering. And I'm pleading with my leader Makali here. Can the budget committee start pushing Treasury to give us an itemized budget, especially when we're doing supplementary? Let it come itemized. We are going to do this, this, and this.
Right.
And so when you are saying this doesn't work, this can work, you can even get the money for paying.
So what I'm questioning also is the fact that where do you get the wiggle room when you have the supplementary budget come through you? Then you're telling us again that, you know, some of this budget that of course have passed through your hands, they go back to these different departments as well, but they have a wiggle room on how to maneuver and bring up from what you had actually considered and passed. So it was not through your authority, but they have another way of actually upping up the supplementary budget, like we can see it here. First of all, let me just hear from Danson Mungatana. Under what law do we have a framework again? Because you'll say, oh, as we're hearing from Honorable Elachi here, that even the office of the First Lady, there's a form of a structure, of course, and monies that goes to that particular office. But for the Deputy President's spouse as well, under which law? Or under which framework? Just for the benefit of my education and many Kenyans that would love to know, so that we can know when we are upping that particular budget by 500 million shillings, this is justified. And this is what it goes to do, because we don't understand what that particular office does. What is the job description of our office?
Maybe I'll just mention two quick things before I get into that question. The first one is about the president's travels. And my colleagues have raised various issues, but I wanted to encourage them to attend the State of the Nation. The State of the Nation on the 9th of November, the president, by law, Article 132 of the Constitution, he is supposed to give a report of what he has been doing in the entire year. He will table that report and explain in particular how far he has gone in terms of achieving the national values and the plans he has to make those things happen, whatever it is that he's saying. And then in particular to account for foreign trips that he has undertaken in the name of the Republic of Kenya. So let us not jump the gun. I want to encourage honorable members to attend. And then this report, it is called the State of the Nation. It's a very big event, and I know in countries like South Africa, it's a big event where people listen to what the head of state has been up to and the plans he has. And then after that, it is tabled in the House. So when it is tabled in the House, in the National Assembly, they are able to now debate. So if they feel that all these foreign trips are not useful and the president hasn't accounted, it is their democratic right to say so. If they say national values are not being achieved, it is their democratic right to say so. But it is not, in my opinion, a very good idea to go to place the cart before the horse. Let us wait and see. From my point of view, I think a lot is being achieved. A lot is being achieved. And those of us who have international obligations, we know. Even before I was in the Senate, I've been a commissioner of the Commercial Competition Commission. And I'm telling you, every time we are sitting to plan a trip where the next meeting will be and stuff like that, people say, we want Nairobi. Why Nairobi? If it's not Nairobi, it's Lusaka. They wouldn't be running to South Africa. They wouldn't be going to Cairo. They wouldn't want to go to Eswatini for the meetings. Why? Nairobi, nobody's going to disturb you to look for visas and what and what. And Lusaka, same thing in Zambia. So let us wait for that report. On the 9th of September, we get our answers. And if we don't, we have an opportunity to debate the state of the nation. I also wanted to say this. On the supplementary budget, there is nothing different that the President of Kenya is doing today. President Ruto is doing what has been done and will continue to be done because the law that we passed as Kenya in the Constitution allows. Article 223 of the Constitution is very clear that once the main budget has been passed and the government comes out to say that there is need to make adjustments here and there. Article 23 actually gives that authority, and it is the Kenyan people who gave the administration in power authority to bring a supplementary budget. What are the conditions? It has to be done within 3 months of the passage of the first of the main budget. So when Honorable Macau here says that we are doing it within 3 months, yes, it is nothing strange. It is something we have done before, and he's been in this business of parliament, and he knows. So let us not paint like William Ruto is not being serious. It's not because of... We have done this under Moi, under Uhuru Kenyatta, and under Jomo Kenyatta, and now William Ruto. It is the way of running government. Now, I also want to say that the only other condition that the government is supposed to achieve, and the Constitution says, is that once the main budget has been passed, you cannot vary it by more than 10%. Mheshimiwa here has said it's 5%. So we are within, again, the provisions of the law. So I pray that we will be using this platform to say what is there, what is the truth, what the law provides for to educate the masses which are there. Let us not be partisan and be painting this government like it is totally doing something left. It is doing nothing that has ever been done before. We are saying, yes, there are issues. And indeed, there are issues, like what my colleagues are saying. There are issues, but those issues can have been dealt with within the framework of government. Now, let me come to the question of the spouses. Honorable Lachar already mentioned that there's a framework that has been set up for the utilization of these funds. One thing I will tell you, Dipal, and Kenyans must know, is that there's something called having the integrity above Caesar's wife. Now, Treasury, and in particular the CBK, it is an independent authority. The Central Bank of Kenya is independent. You can't force them to do what is not within the law. And one thing I can tell you is that you cannot charge the monies. They can't remove money without the law. The first thing they will ask you is under which law are you removing this money? So I know for a fact, I may not be able to quote X or XYZ section what now, but I know for a fact that charges on the consolidated fund are supported by a legal framework. So these spouses of the top people in this country, much as we may not like some of the things, maybe we are saying, oh, the economy is bad and we shouldn't have these charges on the consolidated fund. Now, those are issues for debate. But will the central bank be able to release money without charge on the consolidated bank, on the consolidated fund without law? Not possible. It will not happen. It will just not happen. The systems are such that you cannot, misuse money from the central bank. Having said that, I wanted Kenyans also who are listening to me to understand that the funds are very little. It is like a big. When we were little, we used to eat from one big plate, all the brothers and sisters. And when the cousins visit, we also eat from the same one big bowl. So if my mother has served the rice, it is like the bigger guys used to get more than us, the smaller guys, the younger ones. So after whatever, they would make a special arrangements for us because we were not able to eat as fast as those guys. So if you look at that situation, the basket is the same. And all the ministries are also looking at the same place. All the departments of government are also making their case for the same. And nobody has enough because the basket is not enough. The food is not enough. So it is the business of the Treasury to try and cut here and there and make it possible, adjust, or like a good mother, make adjustment for the smaller ones who are not able to get, and maybe, help them with more, whatever, in a, different way from the general basket. So I know the big boys tend to have more mass when it comes to picking the food from the main basket. my encouragement is, like you actually alluded to it, the people who can cause these controls to take place is the National Assembly Budget Committee. They can say, no, you big boys are having too much.
Thank you.
We can cut this amount of money going there. We can cut this amount, it's not justified.
Thank you.
But everybody tries to get from the same basket. And
Right.
sometimes, the smaller ones suffer. But it is the business of the House now, the National Assembly, to actually take charge and say, no, you guys are taking too much. You guys are not justified in taking this.
Thank you.
It is their work. And I will support them if they did that, because they are doing their work. We must live with the fact that it's a democracy, and there's the executive, there's the legislative arm of government. If they want to balance things for the betterment of
Thank you.
Kenya, we will support them.
Right. Let me hear from Richard Onyonka, because you raise a fact that you will be struggling also from the Constitution to pinpoint what particular legislation is there that gives that particular latitude even for the exchequer to be disbursing these monies to the deputy president's spouse or the first lady. We know the first lady, that one automatically there's a way, there's a provision for that. But my question would be, don't you find it to be very consternating that we don't have any legal framework to actually award this, or to actually have framework for these particular monies to be disbursed, and so that it can be accounted for? When we're talking about accountability, it's 500 million shillings, then how does the Auditor General also account, or maybe try to give an audit for these particular monies that have been disbursed in the first place? I want to just raise that particular question. The other one I think is eluding me, but let me just hear from you as I try and just remember what I wanted to ask as well.
Thank you, Dibal. I've keenly listened to what my brother Senior Mugatana said. And I get baffled, because our issue is not about the legality of this exercise. In fact, the issue you're talking about, which is the legal framework. For me at the moment, I'm not even interested in looking at the legal framework. What we are asking is Kenya at the right space right now in terms of its management of economic affairs? The question that we have, is this normal? Even when my brother, my leader Mugatana, is saying, no, the money is going to be put in the consolidated fund, it's within the law, the constitution allows the president to increase. We know that. We have no dispute about whether the government is actually imposing taxes or not. We left that argument a long time ago. What we are having a dispute about is why are we taxing and spending, borrowing and spending? And what are we spending this money on? These are the questions we are asking. We have absolutely no question about whether the president has been given 100 billion. If the president right now, if the Kenyan economy was growing at 13%, and our collective revenue is 16 trillion shillings a year, why would anybody worry about the amount of money being spent? Right now, we are overtaxed, all right? Everybody in Kenya is complaining, and everybody has raised the issue. What we need to be doing, Dibal, who is our largest market for goods from Kenya? It is Uganda. We've lost the Ugandan market. We are losing to the Tanzanian market. Are you with me? When was there a Kenyan delegation that was sent to Uganda to go and sit and the Tanzanians and tell them, we are actually feeling that you are disadvantaging them, disadvantaging us as a country, because we've been carrying these two countries as a bigger brother. We are no longer the bigger brother. Look at what Tanzania is doing. Look at what Uganda is doing. Uganda is actually caught up with us, that they are now they are net exporters into Kenya. All right? And then when you have a minister who's appointed to deal with matters of trade and everything, you should talk to some of the members who work in government departments who are handling the East African community. They are so relieved. And it's not that I'm passing aspersions over my brother Moses Kuria. No, I'm just saying people are so relieved. They are saying, finally, Ms. Miano understands what the problems of this country are. She understands what the East African market has become. She understands how we have lost our exports going to these countries. So we are not saying that there's no money. We are already being taxed. The money is coming. And look at what is happening to this money. We are already holding political rallies as if we are having campaigns coming next week. We are already having motorcades and motorcades. And I keep saying this, I'm not questioning what the motorcades the president has, because those have got something to do with security. But why is ministers driving with 6 cars on? Why are we giving a deputy president's wife 700 million on Mugatana? I mean, I need somebody to explain to me. Because if you take 700 million divided by 12 months, it means the vice president's wife is going to spend 60 million shillings a month. Doing what? And yet our hospitals have no medicines, there's no money for capitation, we are having a problem with teacher salaries, our nurses are not receiving money, we are having ECD teachers who are not paid. Why are we so insensitive? These are the issues. It's not about the legality or whether this money has been taken legally or not. It is prudence, ability to spend what you have within your means. We are borrowing. We are at 2 trillion shillings of debt right now after 1 year of President Ruto becoming president. By the next 5 years, how much do you think we would have borrowed? Kenya would be in debt to 20 trillion shillings. How are you going to pay it? Look at Ghana. That is what the Ghana government did. People go out on trips. People are flying out. They live in large hotels. People live where somebody is being paid for $2,000 to sleep in a hotel. Why? You can sleep in a Best Western in New York and you pay $50 and it's the same. These are the issues. This is the frustration we're having in the opposition. And what she's saying about the economic advisors, the only thing I'll disagree with her, Honorable Elachi, the problem is not the advisors. They say it the way it is. How many times has David Indi been talking about how people are spending money like they are going on to the moon? What is this wastage we are having? Why are we wasting public money? We are living as if our country is normal, it's operating, it is lovely, we are selling oil, we have no problem with... We are literally a bankrupt country, and we are acting as if we are on holiday.
All right. So we're teetering on insolvency as it is, because we even looking at 1.5 trillion shillings. I think we're teetering there, right?
We can't say that.
Of course, we've crossed that particular mark of the red zone at 1.5 trillion shillings. That is also where the debt mark has reached. This is half of the budget that we're talking about. And even as we have Richard Onyonka really talking very, emotionally, in an emotive way regarding this, he feels it. The question is, what are the legislators doing regarding this? Why won't we question what the docket of the deputy or, the spouse of the deputy president does, so that we can justify this 60 million shillings a month, that the way it's being put by Richard Onyonka? What does it do? Or can we take a stock of what it has done so far? That it needs some more money being given to its office. What does it do? Maybe
when it comes to the budget committee, they will tell us. We'll read what.
But for you as a legislator, it doesn't have to be the president of the budget committee. But generally speaking, for my understanding as well, what does this office do? We had initiative with the First Lady's office.
I'll be very honest. I like reading and doing research. I'll do research on it. I'll be very honest.
So for now, you don't know what it does?
For now, I'm being honest.
Honorable Mungatana,
but I know
there
are programs. There are programs that are done through the programs of drug abuse and all that. All we need to agree is how do you put in that framework properly, and how do you now measure to know how much is needed for this program. It is now up to the technical team to tell us. Let me just go back.
So is it a joint venture? Because also the deputy president has been so forthwith with alcoholism and abuse of it from that particular region. Do they share also the budget from? So we have.
I doubt whether they share the budget.
That's what I'm asking, because it's the same thing. That is duplication.
The budget of the deputy president.
That's what I'm saying. But
indulged in the law.
It's ring-fenced.
Very ring-fenced.
That's what I'm asking. Aren't they speaking the same voice?
Yes.
So if you're talking about...
Well, maybe the purposes... When you look at... Let me talk about now...
but what I'm trying to establish is everyone here is struggling to...
Let me not talk about the deputy president.
What these offices
Let me talk about what she has been doing. Because I've gone in some of the programs. And it would be wrong for me to say it and not to say. So, most of the programs is about young people in drug abuse, trying to rehabilitate, but you find most of the program also is, many people plug in to support. So I doubt whether even when we talk about it, you'll be able right now to measure. But so far, I'll tell you, just starting that foundation and realizing, yes, we have a generation here we are about to lose. In fact, we've lost it. And how do you bring it back is very critical. And for me, the program is perfect. The question now will be, how do you now quantify it to be a program that...
But what will be the sole function of NACADA if she's doing that and we dedicate amount of money?
Well, it means NACADA slept on the job. By the time you're picking such a program and finding everyone down there, it means NACADA slept on the job. And so you've come in, and there are, each of them is allowed to pick a program, to run a program. And I want to repeat the ball. What we should do as Parliament, it is then to create the framework so that it doesn't bring a lot of, as you say, are they sharing, and so that you ring-fence also and ensure. So it is up to the government to bring in a framework to assist in all these programs that are being done by our, the same way we did the program for the first, the ring-fencing and a framework for the First Lady. I think it's the same, so that we don't say we are borrowing from the same, yet we have not included both offices, and then it brings us into conflict. But I remember even during the last 10 years, the programs were there and they were being run. I don't know why we have now monitored this one and we could not look for the last 10 years how all these offices were working. They were there. They were working. And they used to have resources for these offices. But having said that, I just want to go back and say, while we talk about the truth, what I'm saying about the economic advisors, can you give us solutions? You said you had better solutions than the former regime. And we want to see these solutions. And so you can't say that we can't question. I will question them and I'll continue saying, you are coming out, you keep on not giving us solutions, but lamenting. We don't want lamentation. We want you to give us the best, because you said you are the best, you understand, and you can do it better. And that is why Kenyans are saying, give us the solutions, and we shall be able to work with those solutions to assist all of us to see a better Kenya, which is there for tomorrow, by the way. And I am very optimistic. I am very hopeful as a Kenyan. All of us here, we are not saying we are here bashing. No, we are saying we are willing to bring in solutions also. We are willing to see our country grow, and growth not just for us, leaders. You know, one of the things that I find it, and I'm sorry to say it this morning, is that sometimes if you have never done business as an entrepreneur, you'll have a challenge. Because as an entrepreneur, you look for the money. You do, you fail, you do, you fail, and then you come, and then you get to that level of Manu Chandaria. You get to that level of many others. But if you are a businessman who has done business with the government, then you don't know the sweat of business. That is why you play with our shilling like this. And the biggest challenge you are facing is many of the businessmen right now in government are the businessmen who have never started from doing, modeling mud and bringing it to become something that people will appreciate. They have worked with government. If they want to inflate their rates, they do it. If they want to supply hewa, they supply hewa, and they are paid, and they go now pay the ones who have paid them, and that is what is killing our government. So we want to tell government, look at your businessmen. They are not businessmen. They are people who have come to pick money and to leave us crying and we are going down. And for them, they don't care, because they are with this government today. Tomorrow they jump when the next government comes in. And that's how they did. The only president who brought us to where we are was Mzee Kibaki.
Thank you.
He's the only one.
Right. Let's hear from, before we take a short break, briefly.
Let me just explain a bit. You know, Dibali, just want to give you a very simple example. NACADA, which is a whole standalone institution, with a CEO, a board, and all the staff, if the programs, the office of the second lady is running its drug issues, the budget of NACADA is not even half the budget of that office. It's not. So you know, we've moved from itemized budgets to program budgets. What program budget does is every expenditure is tied to an output or an outcome. And you're able to give very clear targets. By me spending these resources, these are the targets I will be achieving for the benefit of Kenyans. And I think what we should be asking ourselves is, this money we are putting into these different offices, what are the specific targets to be achieved? And that's what we said earlier. I think that's why we are failing as Parliament. Because you know, if you look at the law, and I want to help my colleague, Senator Mungatana, that if you look at the law, 223 is clear that supplementary budgets are allowed, but under two conditions. One, there has been no provision, and second, you have withdrawn from the contingency fund. Contingency fund is for emergencies. The other one is where you have not provided for. When you look at most of these changes, there is already a provision. Is this an enhancement, or people are trying to push money to those items for other reasons? And we keep on saying this. Some of us who are economists and who have a better understanding of financial issues, public management, the truth of the matter is, and advisors are there, they are giving very good advice, which is actually very good advice in terms of what needs to be done.
Nobody listens.
But the question is, who is listening?
Nobody listens.
And I'm telling you, the problem we have in this country is we play politics with everything. And I can tell you, some of this you don't play politics with. You play politics with economics, you collapse the economy, and there will be no politics. Just as if you play good economics and there is no politics, the economy will not move. We need a very good, delicate balancing. And I want to urge the leaders to listen to technical advice. I can tell you for sure, anytime I interact with these colleagues of mine who are in the government, either in Treasury, either in Central Bank, or even out there, the likes of David D., you can see the kind of things they are proposing. If they were implemented, they will make a huge difference in terms of financial management.
Yes.
But they're not being listened to.
They are brilliant ideas.
The other thing, which we need as a country to look at, you know, it's only Parliament which has by law, the authority to appropriate resources. So it means if Parliament says no, there will be no expenditure. And I want to challenge Parliament, me included, because what we are doing is, we start a departmental committee. We don't start with the budget committee. The reason why we start the departmental committee is every sector in this country has a departmental committee which oversights. If it's education, you have a committee which will look at all the details in terms of what needs to be done as a committee. And then you'll be able to bring to Parliament, to us as a budget committee, at the program level, not at the itemized level. We will not be asking you, this 100 million will be doing what activities. We will be asking you programmatically, what are the outcomes of this 100 million? And then you tell us we'll be getting 100 classrooms done, we'll be getting this. So the reason why I'm challenging is, it means then us as Parliament, we are not asking the right questions when we are looking at the budget. We should be asking, we don't mind giving the office of the spouses of either the president or the deputy president money. But what are Kenyans going to get as a result of this appropriation? So that we know once we give them the money, at the end of the day, we'll have this number of drug addicts who have been rehabilitated, or we have this number of, because I know the first lady is doing something like temple bagging activities. So what is the benefit to a normal Kenyan who lives in a slum? Matters sponsorship or funding of the office of the spouse of the deputy president. Otherwise, then we don't want to make it like a tourism, where you put the money there and the money is being used to go to people just to tour the country, and at the end of the day they feel good. I feel good, I've been to Kitui, I feel good.
Yeah, what is the outcome? The transparency that comes
we must get clear outcomes.
Indeed.
As I conclude,
thank you.
Debao.
All right, thank you.
Because I know you want to take a break.
Yeah, music is up and we want to take a short break, but we want also to just continue following what the PS is doing right now. He's in Ongata Rongai Primary School in Nakuru earlier on. We saw him giving a press brief regarding the examinations today, that all is continuing well as far as security is concerned. And we have the last cohort of the KCP sitting for this exam as well. Let's just take a short break as we leave you with the pictures of the PS in Ongaturongai Primary School.
Relay? Ile ya kukimbia ya relay?
Yes.
You know, you hand over the baton to the next person.
Yes.
And usually you hand over the baton to a person who runs faster than you. So we are sure that you can run faster than us, and therefore our country will be safe in your hands in the future. So we pray for you. And the young ones in Kapsea, we really pray for you. You have a whole future awaiting you. So do everything that you can to make sure that all is well. Sawa? And I can assure you that all will be well. So what are you promising us? That you will give us your best?
Yes.
And I want to tell you, your best is known to you. Don't allow anybody to put you pressure. Sawa?
Yes.
Because the best that you have is within you. And whatever you will give us, we shall celebrate you. Sawa?
Yes.
We shall celebrate that best that you will give us. We are not telling you to get 400 marks, 350 marks. We are telling you, give us your best. Okay?
Yes.
Give us your best, whatever that best is. And cumulatively, when each one of us give us their best, we shall all as a school get our best. Sawa?
Yes.
Aya, lastly, wavile mdosi wa shule? Ha? Wapi Runi? Unasikia Runi ndio mdosi. Haya, kuja utuambie moja. Wewe ndio utatuambia ile promise umetupea. Aya, wawili. I'll get Runi and a girl. So I get one girl and one boy.